Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Holistic Health Radio. I'm your host, Sarah Liz King. I'm an exercise physiologist and health coach, empowering you to find your healthy balance with food, fitness, and your body. In today's episode, I am going to be answering the question, are your weekends derailing your recovery? This is something that I find happens with so many of my clients. From Monday to Friday, they are absolutely nailing their recovery. And then come the weekend, things kind of fall off. The wheels fall off, their lives get busy, and recovery gets put on the back burner. And while it's helpful to be flexible with your routine and not get too bogged down in being perfect with your recovery, there are definitely some things that you might be doing that could be delaying your recovery, specifically when it comes to recovering your period from hypothalamic amenorrhea. So I'm going to be going through all of the different key reasons why your weekends might be delaying and derailing your recovery, and also what you can do about them to make sure that you stay on track while still enjoying your weekends, because they should be about you. The first one that I often see with clients is a bit of a disrupted routine. So, weekends often involve changes in routine, including altered sleep patterns, meal timings, and activity levels. And consistency in all of those things is really crucial for our hormonal balance and recovery. So, disruptions to these routines can, stress the body and potentially hinder progress in recovering from hypothalamic amenorrhea. A classic thing that a lot of my clients chat to me about is, getting up in the morning and getting up a little bit later, and then they're going out for brunch with their friends so that that first meal gets delayed. And because that first meal gets delayed, maybe they're not getting in their other meals and snacks as they should. And instead of, working their job, which might be maybe a little bit more sedentary, they're out and about, they're with their friends, they might be doing some kind of activity. And all of these things mean that their body's not getting that consistent signal that they're getting enough energy in. And that can definitely be a really big thing, because if that is happening every single weekend, 2 out of every 7 days, you're kind of not really giving your body the signs that it can fully trust you. The second one is social pressures. Now, social events during the weekends may involve different things around food, different things around exercise, and some choices can be challenging for people in recovery. So, this can often look like maybe you're going to a social event and there's lots of food that you may not be comfortable with. So, instead of joining in and having enough of the food that's available, you just hold off, or you only let yourself have a little bit. Or, maybe you have given yourself permission to have whatever you want when you go out to eat with friends, but the people around you might be talking about dieting or what they're going to choose. And so it makes you second guess your choice. And then as a result, you don't follow through on ordering or eating the thing that you know is going to be really, really helpful for you and your recovery. Social pressures can also happen in different ways, specifically when it comes to exercise. The weekends are often times where people are doing more social activities, hiking, going to gym classes together. Um, that might be what your group of friends is really, really interested in. And while, you might not think that sporadic couple of, days a month, so doing this every weekend is going to make that much of a difference, going to run club every single weekend and running a 10K because your friends are doing that, or going to the CrossFit class, or doing the long hike, that can all have an impact on your recovery journey, because again, your body is still getting that kind of stressful signal of too much energy output. So, social pressures can have a really big influence both on the nutrition side and on the exercise side. The third thing is increased stress. Now, you might be thinking, like, how are the weekends more stressful than during the week? And for some people, they actually might be. So weekends are where we take a break from work or from school. Um, but they're also a time where we have more social events that can be quite psychologically stressful if we're still kind of working through food rules and food fears, or the dynamics of those social situations are, a little bit more anxiety provoking. There are also, you know, women that are already mums and doing a million and one different things to take kids, a million different places. And that can sometimes leave no time for you to kind of rest and recover and have downtime. So, how busy your weekends are and how much commitment is in there, and the kind of the stress that you may be placing on yourself during these events can really have an impact on your overall stress. And that can, of course, impact your hormones and how quickly you recover your period. Because what we know about hypothalamic amenorrhea is it's not just how much you're eating and the reduction in exercise, it is also the psychological stress component. Now, I alluded to this one before when I was talking about your disrupted routine, but the fourth reason why your weekends might be derailing or delaying your recovery is inadequate nutrition. So, because your routine might be altered, your dietary patterns might change additionally. And this means sometimes for most clients that I talk to that they're missing out on key times during the day where they would have adequate meals and snacks. Maybe you're on the go and nobody else is eating food at that particular time when you would normally have your lunch or your snack. So you don't speak up about your own needs. And as a consequence, that period of time passes and you're not getting the nutrition that you need. A lot of people then try and cram as much nutrition as they can into the tail end of their day to quote unquote make up for it. But really, what your body is looking for is that sustained signaling that it's receiving energy on a regular basis to feel safe. So, definitely, that inadequate and irregular nutrition can have a huge impact on your period recovery. And the last one, which I kind of alluded to in the social pressures, is more intense workouts. So you've got more time on the weekends. You might be having a moment of frustration that your period's never going to come back. Your friends are going to that workout class, or you just really just want to go for that run. So you engage in that more intense or prolonged exercise, maybe the hike with your friends to somewhere really cool that you've been talking about, but you don't adjust your fuel intake to, sustain that exercise. And if you're doing this really often, it can definitely have a huge impact. Obviously, the one off, random hike that you do or random workout class is not going to be the make or break, but it is whether you do this quite consistently on the weekends. And definitely, I know a lot of people fall into that trap of, oh, it doesn't matter if I just do it one day on the weekends where I wake up and, I don't have my breakfast first thing before I go to that gym class or do that exercise. But I want to remind you that once you kind of set that precedence for yourself, it's so easy to kind of fall back into old habits. So really try and stop, take a moment and ask yourself, is this something that's really going to serve me? Or do I need to, have a little bit of a think? And even though it might be frustrating to sit this one out or do something differently, that could be what my body is really needing right now. So, those are all of the different reasons why your weekends could be derailing or delaying your recovery. But what can you do about it? What can you change to make sure that you stay on track during your weekends so that your period recovery is faster and more seamless? Well, the first one is regular meal timing. Try and stick to a regular schedule of eating, 3 meals and 3 snacks, even on the weekends. Now, I often talk to clients about, well, how do I fit this into social eating? And it sometimes is about kind of smushing things together and having a meal and a snack together. Or if you're going out for brunch, for example, having your morning tea as your first snack when you get up, and your breakfast becomes that brunch meal, as an example. Number two is making sure that you get adequate rest. You've got lots more going on during the weekends, but sleep is still a really, really important part of letting your body de-stress and kind of makes sure that you're getting, I guess, time just for your body to decompress. And while that might sound like, oh, how does that actually help your recovery? It is a really big component. I think so many people who have hypothalamic amenorrhea are always like, go, go, go all the time. And just having moments to get a good night's sleep or have a nap during the day can be so beneficial for our well being. The third one is mindful exercise. I know it's so hard to sit out and say no to things that sound really fun, like the CrossFit class your friends are doing, the long hike that they're going on, the run club that everyone else is doing. But right now, it really is just about kind of going, that's probably not going to be the safest and the healthiest thing for me right now at this moment in time for the journey that I'm on. It doesn't mean that you'll never get to do those things, but suggesting something else like, hey, I'd love to do something with you. Why don't we go for a yoga class on a Sunday night to wind down before the week starts? Why don't we grab a coffee and go for a walk? So that you can still get that social connection, but do it in a way that also supports your own recovery. Stress management. Now, I think the easiest way to manage your stress on the weekends is to have some just white space, some time where you don't have anything planned in, and it's just about sitting down and maybe reading your book or watching your favorite show or just kind of having quiet time just for you to let yourself have a little bit of self-care amongst all of the other, you know, expectations with family or other events that you have to go to so that you don't get to Monday and feel, just as exhausted. And the last and final one is if the weekends have you just doing a whole lot more, make sure that you are focusing on energy density. If you're going to go out and, it's been a little while since you've had something to eat, don't order the salad. That's probably not going to be your best option. Order something that's really going to serve your recovery and order something that ultimately you're going to enjoy as well. The weekends and social eating is a time where you can really break away from your food fears and your food rules, really challenge them to create that healthy relationship with food that is also going to support your recovery. So, those are some of the ways that your weekends could be derailing your recovery, and also how to make sure your weekends work for you to support recovery. And remember, these are just guidelines. Making sure that you get support for your own unique individual circumstances is so important. So if you find you kind of get into this pattern of doing really, really well for a few days and then falling off, whether that is on the weekends or just because you lose motivation or something else comes up and you fall back into old habits, support from a coach like our coaching services can be really helpful for you. So don't hesitate to reach out and inquire about our services. But use some of these tips and tricks to see if they make a difference in your weekends in maintaining a little bit more consistency with your recovery habits. And as always, let me know if you find them helpful. But I will leave that episode here for today. If you really enjoyed it and you're watching on YouTube, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leaving a review, 5-star rating really helps support the show. And as always, you can take a screenshot and share by tagging me at Sarah Liz King, and I'll be sure to reshare those stories on my Instagram. Until next time, keep looking after yourselves, and I'll be back next week with a fresh new episode you can wrap your ears around.